Good day everyone, I am Dani Kaison and I will be discussing defect management. But before that, I will explain what is the objective of this topic. It is to explain the defect management process and how it can be used for process improvements. Now, let us define what is defect in software engineering. Well, defect is a product that does not meet the customer requirements or does not fulfill the aspect of uses. Defect is considered as a cause of customer dissatisfaction. It could be something extra given to the customer which surprises him or her, or something missing which is required by the customer, or requirements that is not correctly implemented. Defect can be considered as a symptom of a class problem. As defined earlier, testing is a risk reduction process, whereas defect is a realization of a risk. Now we all know what is defect in software engineering. Now let's proceed to the causes and effects of defects. Causes of defects. Defect is not an accident, but it occurs because something has not worked as planned. Root causes of a defect refer to the reasons of defect. In defect management, there are two distinct parts: defects and problems. Root cause analysis helps in finding a problem which has given the defect. This defect may be introduced in various reasons. First is requirements are not defined clearly by the customer or system analysis. Sometimes queries are not resolved completely and development team and designer may make some assumptions. Second, designs are wrong and not capable of implementing requirements. There is a missing traceability between requirements and design. Third, people are not trained. People are not trained due to their work in collecting requirements, creating designs, coding, implementing, testing, and deploying the product. People lack competency to perform assigned tasks. Lastly, processes used are not capable. They are not able to deliver the right product. But there are some techniques used to find the root cause of defect. First is the 5 why. And the second one is fishbone diagram. A famous technique used to find the root cause of a defect is 5 why and fishbone diagram. One must ask why 5 times, and each time, whatever is the answer, we have to repeat the question till we reach the final product or the final problem. Root cause analysis defines the defect is a symptom and one needs to fix the problem and not only the symptom. Here is an example diagram of a fishbone diagram. Now let's go to effects of a defect. The final effect of a defect is a customer dissatisfaction, as customer may find something which does not satisfy his requirements or something which is not fit for use. It could be due to various reasons. First, problem and security. Security may be a problem as the system may be open to external attacks. They may be loss of data, hacking, or any other problem in the system which make it vulnerable. Second is performance of the system may not be acceptable. The system does not perform as per expectation of the customer and may result in rejection of the system. And lastly, functionality required but not available in the product delivered to the customer. Now let's go to defect classifications. One of the defects classification is the requirement defects. Requirement-related defects arise in a product when one fails to understand what is required by the customer. Requirement defects may be classified as functional defects and interface defects. Let us first discuss what is functional defects. These defects are mainly about the functionalities present or absent in the application which are expected or not expected by the customer. The second one is interface defects. These defects talk about various interfaces essential as the per requirement statement. Generally, these defects may be due to user interface problems or problems with connectivity to other systems including hardware. The second classification of defects is design defects. Design defects generally refer to the way of design, creation, or its usage while creating a product. Design-related defects may be classified as algorithmic defects, module interface defects, system interface defects, and user interface defects. Let's first discuss algorithmic defects. Algorithmic defects may be introduced in a product if designs of various decisions are not handled correctly. Some applications have a control over capacity usage of various algorithms to translate requirements correcting into coding. Various permutations and combinations may cause defect introduction in the product. The second one is the module interface defects. Module interface defects are about communication problems between various modules. The third one is system interface defects. System interface defects may be generated when an application communication with environmental factors is hampered. System may not be able to recognize inputs coming from the environment or may not be able to give outputs which can only be used by the environment. And the last one is the user interface defects. User interface defects may be part of a system interface defects, where the other system working with the application is a human being. User interface defects may be a part of a navigation, look and feel, or type of defects which affect the usability of an application. Another classification of defects is coding defects. Coding defects may arise when designs are implemented wrongly, if there is an absence of development or coding standards, or if they are wrong, and it may lead to coding defects. There are various types of coding defects. First is variable declaration or enunciation defect, commenting or documentation defects, or database-related defects. Let us first discuss the variable declaration or initialization defect. This defect arises when variables are not initialized properly or variables are not declared correctly. This type of defects refer to wrong coding practices which may arise due to wrong standards of development. Commenting or documentation defects. Coding also needs adequate commenting to make it readable and maintainable in future. Also, there must be adequate documentation associated with various stages of development so that it is useful in future for maintenance. It is very difficult to find such defects in black box testing. And the last one is database related. Database-related defects may occur when a database is not created appropriately or is not optimized. It may be a part of design defects if database design is wrong, or it may be a coding defect if database is not implemented correctly as per design. And the last one classification of defects is the testing defects. Testing defects are defects introduced in an application due to wrong testing. Many developers will fix the defect identified by the tester blindly without asking any question to check validity of defects. Defects which cannot be reproduced or are not supported by requirements or are duplicate may represent a false call. This defect is classified as test design defects, test environment defects, and test tool defects. Test design defects. There can be defects in test plans, test scenarios, test cases, and test data definition which leads to defect introduction in software if it is not handled correctly. Test environment defects may arise when test environment is not set properly. And the last one is test tool defects.